something I want to touch on, because obviously we're talking a bit about the Pokemon and obviously the items that were left out as well.
Mm.
How are you guys finding the current format itself? So I know you both have been playing quite a bit of ladder. I haven't just yet, but I have been sort of seeing what's popping, what's popular, etc., etc. So give us your thoughts. We'll start with Scott.
Yeah, I think it works. I mean, obviously it is very limited, but I think by having, again, it comes back to simplicity. I think it's very simple. You're not overcomplicating things. From like a thought process point of view, you're not, especially in closed team sheet, you don't have to be like, oh, have they got an assault vest? You know, have they got choice specs? Have they got choice bands? You know, like what? Because you can't see, I think having a limited item pool really sort of helps. And I don't know, I'm not saying it pushes creativity, but you're kind of like, you kind of just have to do what you got access to. And I think because with the megas as well, I think it gives you like a lot of opportunity to run like dual mega teams, which is a lot of people used to do back in the day. I think the ones they've included are good. You know, we've got a lot of good ones. We've got Pokesash, we've got Choice Scarf, we've got Citrus Berry. We've got like stat boosting ones if you want them.
There's a lot of berries. There's a lot of berries.
All the damage reducing berries. Yeah, like Mental Herb. Like I'm not mad at it. It'd be nice to have the other things, but I think it works in the format that we have. I think we were kind of in like a power creep. Well, power creep's been a thing, I feel like, for the last sort of 4 or 5 years, with the introduction of like all the Paradox Pokemon and all like the legendaries in the current rotation and all of that. And I don't like it. So it's kind of a bit of a fresh air and like not having to stress about. I know there's things like Eternal Floette and stuff like Mega Floette. There are still really OP Pokemon, but they come at a cost, you know, to an item. Or that's why Megas arguably the most favorable when it's looked back on, because it's very balanced. You know, it doesn't feel too OP, because you have to give up your item slot in order to gain, and they're just stat boosts at the end of the day.
Especially now that Mega Kangaskhan has been nerfed to hell as well.
Oh, poor Kang, I know.
What else have they done to it?
Well,
they reduced the damage again. It did.
No, so they haven't reduced the damage, but I do genuinely feel like it's not that they nerfed it. Be fair, the move pool is the predominant one. Yeah, like Drain Punch.
Double edge, does it?
No, I don't think it gets double edge. So obviously it doesn't get power up punch.
Doesn't get return of frustration.
Yeah, we don't know this. They could give it back when they introduce him. So
they could
give it back.
They could, with like a balance patch or something like that. But at least for now, based off of what we know, info, and then obviously the factor that it's going into like a mega format where there are Sneaslers running around non-stop, highly threatening them. You got other sort of factors of the Sinistras being quite awkward, and kind of wanting Kang to keep its scrappy ability versus going for the parental bond. Mega Evo. So there is stuff not working against it, basically, in the current format.
Just a quick question before Lee shares his thoughts. How do you think it's going to work when they say they adjust the format, they take Pokemon away that you've already got in your game in Champions? What do you think they're going to do? They're just going to put like a red X around it and you can't use it?
It might be like with an update, like auto ported back to home, you know?
But like
I don't feel like
permanently recruited them into the game.
Yeah, like, I think that's too aggressive.
To throw them away would kind of be a bit harsh, but
yeah,
I think locking them, just saying you can't use them, is fine. I don't see that as a problem, because I feel like if you've spent recruitment coupons or the quick coupons in order to get a Pokemon, then it can't be harsh to those. Like, this one's gone now.
Yeah. I don't know. I think my thought is if you've transferred it in from home, because it'll keep all of its stats the next time it is available in Champions if you port that Pokemon back in.
Home's fine. Like, I agree with that.
Yeah, that transfer. But like recruited Pokemon, I wonder if they'll have like it's went on Champions vacation and there'll be like a
or like separate
format box where they'll be there, but you can't put them in teams and they'll be separate to everything else, just to make it I think you'd need to separate it because it could get kind of, although you could just put like a red kind of circle. Because if you transfer, I don't know if you guys have transferred any Pokemon in from home, and if they've got moves that aren't eligible
Yeah, that's what I was referring to.
Yeah, and they've got the symbol. It's like a stop sign symbol of them where you have to change it before it is legal.
Insane is a good example of that.
Yeah, they could do something like that, I guess.
I think that would be an easy fix. Now, going ahead and being like aggressive enough to take away from the value and efforts of people putting Pokemon in, applying VPs, like Scott said, I don't think they're going to do that. That's shooting yourself in the foot. Easy fix would be just using that symbol. I don't see why not, and just make sure that there's functionality that doesn't allow it to be selected into boxes, etc. And maybe even take items away, or I don't know, some sort of additional thing. Maybe even graying them out aside from just doing the block. So like they're grayed out in terms of, you know, like the silhouette.
It's probably going to be a while as well before we actually have Pokemon taken away. I envisioned going forward, we'd only have Pokemon added rather than them adding and also taking away, but they may, it might be quite refreshing to have like a bunch of them taken out when new ones get introduced as well at the same time. So we haven't got this eventual increase to the point where we've got like a national dex scenario, which wouldn't be a bad thing, I don't think, in any sort of shape or form. But I think to begin with, the infancy of it, it's probably better to keep it around this kind of just over 200 mark of usable Pokemon per format, per time. So I don't know. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they handle that, though. It's a good point.
What do you think about the format, Lee? Sorry, I kind of...
I really love it. I think I was saying to you boys before we came back on, Pokemon for the last couple of generations, I'd say the last 3 generations, we had Z-moves, we had Dynamax, Gigantamax, and then we've had Terastallization. And I like all of those different mechanics that we've had over the years, but it from the fundamental side of battling, it's changed the dynamic of Pokemon a lot. And this feels really back down to the roots of just what Pokemon is. And there's such an importance of leading, board positioning, team building in particular. And you haven't got those scenarios now where you've got those one-off occasions where you can get yourself out of, you've got to get out of jail free pass almost, because you can terastallize a Pokemon out of a weakness that would otherwise cost you the game, or you can blow something up with a Dynamax or Gigantamax Pokemon that we had constantly in Sword and Shield. So I do like the value that we've got now. There is a little bit of a power creep with the Megas, but I think what you said, Scott, it's really, really on point, where I think they've limited the items in such a way that it's kind of keeping everything in a really healthy place at the minute. And yeah, I agree with everything you guys said. I love the format. I like the limited items that we've got at the moment. I think it makes building a little bit more, you've got to be a bit more creative with what you're putting on Pokemon. It's definitely limiting as well. But I don't mind it in any way, shape or form. I think it's an interesting format to jump into. Having Megas back feels
really good, mate.
It's been great, yeah. And there's not really a negative I've got about it, to be honest. And it might sound really boring saying that, but I'm just really enjoying it and enjoying getting back in and learning a new format and sharpening up skills, which I feel have definitely been blunted over the last few years, where, if I'm completely honest, although I've done the casting, I've never really felt the massive burning desire to want to just spend all my time on the ladder playing, building teams, and coming up with ideas. And I have that now, and I'm like, this is great. And I imagine as well it helps with having this game, which is meant to be for competitive and stuff like that. But yeah, loving everything about it. So yeah, and really looking forward to seeing how things develop going forward on an official kind of aspect. Big events where we've got Indianapolis, then we've got Turin, and then we've got NAIC, and then Worlds, of course. But also the big grassroots tournaments that we've got. I mean, Nino had a tournament. I can't remember the figure off the top of my head, how many players they had. But there's so many huge grassroots tournaments going on at the minute. And then we've got a huge one coming up soon.
Straw
Straws
VGCs,
tournament, which is like over 10,000 players now, which is just like,
yeah, 10,000 was the new cap. So yeah, I think that's been
mad.
met.
So that's exciting to play. You know, that's in a couple of weeks' time. So it's going to be interesting to see how these all kind of unfold, what teams come out of it, where the meta goes from there. But I think we're starting to really see the meta forming. What are the big hitters in the format? Although I still think there's so much room for other Pokemon to kind of come to the floor and have success in this format. I don't think this is going to be a closed off shop where this is the best team, this is the best 6. I think there's going to be a lot of variance as we go deeper into this format, you know. So